Hi everyone. We're going to do our senior planning workshop virtually for you. We like to do this live normally just to give everyone an overview of the process, but we got to do what we can do. So, we're going to get a lot of information to you today, but don't worry if you don't catch all of it. We're just doing the overview and we'll make sure you have all the resources and all the help you need every step of the way. We're going to start talking about the higher education handbook and just all the nuts and bolts and the details of it. We're going to also talk about the different steps in the application process. We will review everything that's upcoming, like tests and college fairs and that sort of thing. And then we'll also talk about the impact of COVID-19 and what's different, what's the same, and what you need to plan for. The Higher Education Handbook is what we've always used to make sure you have all the information you need in one place. It has deadlines, responsibilities of the student and our responsibilities, the whole timeline, checklists, everything you need. You can still get a hard copy of it in the school counseling website, in the school counseling office, or it's posted on the website. It's also attached to an email. We'll get it to you one way or the other. This year, we'll also have a Google Classroom for every kid to be signed up on so that you don't miss any deadlines and all the resources are in one spot, easily accessible for you.
This slide is representative of some of the biggest components of the higher education process. There's going to be a slide that goes into detail about each of these components upcoming in the presentation. So I just wanted to focus a little bit here about the application essay. The application essay we think is especially important this year as there are other components of the application that aren't going to have as much depth. For example, many schools are moving to test optional. Many activities were placed on hold due to the pandemic. So giving a lot of your energy and attention to the essay is going to be especially important this year. We like when the essay is unique to you. You tell us, you use a small topic, something really specific to convey a really big idea about yourself. Both your school counselors and your English teachers are happy to help you through this process. We love reading the essays and giving feedback. There's also a wealth of information on the school counseling website, including brainstorming ideas, topics that admissions counselors love to read about versus topics that are often overdone. So don't delay with the application essay. Oftentimes students procrastinate and it becomes a stressful component, whereas it could be a component that is really fun for a lot of students if they give it the appropriate time. We've implemented the use of a Google Classroom this year. In the event that we need to move to remote learning, we're asking students to work with their school counselor to decide if they want to join a community college 2-year, military, trade school, or right into the world of work classroom, or an early decision, early action, or a regular decision classroom. In these classrooms, you'll have suggested deadlines that you can meet to make sure you're on track with your applications, access to a lot of the forms such as the brag sheet and the counselor input sheet, and links to important parts of the application process such as the FAFSA and the College Board. So join a Google Classroom, use it as your virtual to-do list and to communicate with your school counselor, regardless of if we're in person or remote, but especially if we need to transition to remote learning. The Common Application is something that most of you will interact with throughout this process. It is home to a majority of the applications that are submitted by PRHS students. Through the Common Application, you'll answer general questions about yourself and specific questions that are unique to each of the universities or colleges that you're applying to. This is also how you'll submit your essay and recommendations, as well as your counselor will use it to submit all of your transcripts, your interim grade reports, and your final grade reports. You can get fee waivers for application submissions that are submitted through the Common Application if you qualify as well. In addition to the Common Application, a lot of our students utilize the Panther app through PSU, the Coalition app, Send EDU, which serves the same purpose as the Common App, or the Keene State app. We recommend you make a table of all the places you're applying and where their applications can be found to help you stay organized. Brag sheet is something that we highly recommend you fill out and give to each person who's going to be writing a recommendation for you. On the brag sheet, you'll discuss your future goals, college major, things that have been really significant to you, and all your extracurricular activities. This way, both your school counselors and your teacher recommenders will have plenty of information to write you a really robust and meaningful recommendation letter. The brag sheet can be found in the school counseling office, on the Google Classroom, or on the school counseling website. We really recommend that you put a lot of effort and energy into the brag sheet. The more information we can learn about you through your brag sheet, the better your recommendation letter will be. We know it's awkward to talk about yourself sometimes, but it's something that we really think is worth the effort. It's also nice if you have your brag sheets prepared when you ask your teachers for recommendation so that they can have all the components they need. We also recommend that you give your teachers at least a month heads up to write you a well thought out and meaningful letter of recommendation. FAFSA, or free application for federal student aid, becomes available on October 1st. It's most useful when students and their parents file the FAFSA together. And the FAFSA is used to determine your expected family contribution, or EFC. Schools then use your EFC to determine how much financial aid you qualify for. We recommend that you do the FAFSA as early on as possible. That way, when schools are making decisions about your application and admission, they'll also have the financial information they need to decide how much student aid you'll get if you attend their school. Some students will also need to fill out the CSS profile. This is a more in-depth version, but serves the same purpose as the FAFSA. We have links to all schools that require the CSS profile, so you'll know if you need to fill one of those out as well. Some schools have FAFSA and CSS profile deadlines where you need to file prior to that date. So make sure that you're doing the research to know when each of these are due for each of your schools. Or you can take that question out of the equation by filing it early on.
One of the big messages about standardized tests this year is that most schools out there are test optional due to COVID-19. So that's something to keep in mind. I know there's a lot of worry with test centers closing and students not being able to take the tests that are normally expected. But every college admissions office that we've spoken to speaks about the fact that they are going to be test optional this year. On the bright side of thing, I guess if standardized tests can be a bright side, we are offering it on October 14th right here at school at Plymouth Regional High School during the school day. So all seniors on the 14th will take the SAT with essay. Please get a good night's sleep. And prior to the 14th, if you can, take advantage of the free prep materials that the College Board has come up with in partnership with the Khan Academy. And real quick, the ASVAB is another standardized test that we're offering. It's the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. It's going to be held on November 18th. We'll have sign up in the school counseling office. This can be for students that are going to perhaps serve our country in the armed forces. This is a test to take. It's also a great test for anyone to take because it matches up your strengths with thousands of different careers. The next step too in perhaps demonstrating interest to schools is the virtual college fairs that are being run through the by the National Association for College Admission Counseling. And on October 12th, the October 18th, and November 8th, there are 3 fairs that they have set up. If you go on to the presentation that we have on our website, you'll have links right to these different dates, and you can see which colleges are going to be participating. From there, sign up for breakout sessions with specific schools. Please utilize your school counselor to help you kind of narrow down the list from hundreds and hundreds of schools to maybe 6 schools that you would like to talk to. People that are staffing these fairs are the admissions reps that your application is going to be read by. So developing meeting with them and them getting to know you a little bit can only help. Similarly, college campus visits, all of them out there, a lot of them anyway, have virtual tours in which you can check on their websites, set something up. They have virtual tours. They also have, like during the fall, presentations scheduled for Saturdays in which you can also register for. And there are some schools that are having on-campus visits, but the best way to access all this information is looking right on the admissions tab of whatever school that you're looking at. Within the PRHS school counseling office, we've also been contacted by various college admissions officers and have set up virtual visits. This coming week, the 29th, University of New Hampshire, also St. Joseph's down in Standish, Maine, and also Bryant University. And then the following week, it's going to be St. Anselm College and then Dartmouth College. So once again, if you check the calendar on our school counseling website, and also there's a rep visits tab, you can get this scheduled, and then also work with us. And if you have a class during that time, you're able to be excused to take advantage of these opportunities to meet with the college reps one-on-one or in a small group of your fellow students.
One great organization we can work with is NEAF, the New Hampshire Higher Education Assistance Foundation. They work one-on-one with students and families, kind of like we do. They are a free resource out of Concord, and the best thing they do, I think, is working through the financial aid process, helping you fill out the FAFSA or CSS profile. They really can go through all your financials with you. Plus, once you get your financial aid award letters in the spring, they can help you make sense of all the different options for you. So they're great with that. You can make appointments with them. They also connect to different scholarships and have a lot of cool events going on. One event that we jumped on board with is the I Am College Bound month. And on November 10th, we're going to encourage as many of our students to apply to New Hampshire schools as possible because all the applications submitted on that day will be free. Plus, one of our students will receive a $500 scholarship for participating in the day.
This year, the school counseling office is also utilizing the Remind app so people can get quick updates of useful information sent right to their cell phones. There are codes for each class, and you'll see the senior class code is right there. And once you text that code to PRHS SCH, you will get a notification about how you can subscribe. Parents and students are both invited to utilize Remind, and we'll be sending useful updates and links and resources. Changes to the application process this year due to COVID-19. We're sending out a separate presentation where we go into all those changes on a more in-depth basis. Pretty much the quick gist of it is that we're starting to use Google Classroom in the event that we'll need to move to remote learning. College fairs, visits, and interviews will be done virtually. There's actually a ton more resources virtually than there ever have been before, so that's one silver lining to this whole process. Admissions reps are more available to students than they've ever been before. We're hopeful that acceptance rates will not be affected for the class of 2021. Most admissions representatives that we've spoken to are debunking the myth that deferrals were so high that this year's senior class might have less opportunities for admission, and they're saying that they're not anticipating that that will be a problem. Common App has a COVID-specific question where kids can talk about how the pandemic has affected them if they think they've had any extenuating circumstances that should be expressed on their application. We have a lot of these facts on our school counseling website, as well as we'll be sending a separate presentation to address them.
We are almost done. So just to wrap up, there's nothing super hard about this process. Every piece is pretty doable. You just gotta make a plan and stick to all the timelines and deadlines. We have all the resources on the Google Classroom on our website, and come to us with anything. Call, email, set up a Google Meet, whatever you need, we're here for you to answer any questions. Thank you.